Hello everybody and welcome back to Q&A Wednesdays. I'm Leigh and today I'm going to be answering your questions all about how to convert campervans. As usual, we'll normally put our questions out on our Patreon page first, and then we shall put a question out on the Instagram story. So if you're a member of our Patreon, you will get your question answered guaranteed, and if you're lucky, we will get round to your Q&A questions from the Instagram story. So before we start, thank you everybody for entering your questions. Our first one then is from Chris Hockley, Patreon supporter. He says, "Hi Leigh, I am converting a Transit Custom which has the vehicle battery under the driver's seat. Since the battery is in the living/sleeping space, for safety, should the battery be vented? And if so, what is the best way of doing it?" So being that the battery is under the driver's seat as per factory, as far as I remember, because it's only been a couple of Transit Customs we've done, as far as I remember, the area underneath the battery on a Transit Custom is vented anyway, or at least they have vent tubes coming out the side of the battery. It is generally very good practice to vent a leisure battery or any battery in a living space. To do that, or at least contain the battery in a living space with a vent underneath. And there are a number of ways you can do that. Obviously, you can have a leisure battery in an enclosed box that is built within your camping interior, and then you have a vent which is basically just a space in the floor. You can have a grilled vent in the floor, so any gases that do expel and that are heavier than air, much like gas, will actually spill out through the vent and onto the floor. The other way you can do it is by actually getting a dedicated box. Now you can find these boxes through most campervan conversion shops, and depending on which size battery you get, they will have a white box with either a red or yellow top, and that is just designed to neatly slot over the white base, and it'll allow your cables to come in through under that lid and then house the battery safely. And what it should do, if you've got the right one, it'll have a strap to hold down your battery into the box, and then a strap which goes over the box lid as well. So not only is it safely secured, it is a contained area for the battery and any gases to be in as well. But yes, we would recommend venting a leisure battery at any point. Next question then is from Brad. He says, "Hi Leigh and the team, I'm currently working on a T2 early bay and was wondering if the bulkhead behind the front passenger seat can be removed so that a captain's seat could be installed. Or does it have an impact on the structural integrity of the van? I'm guessing it may be more hassle than it's worth kind of job. Thanks, Brad." Now, I'm going to say, being an early bay, people might get a bit precious about cutting up panels just to suit your needs. Early bays are getting rarer, more thin on the ground, but at the end of the day, it's your vehicle and you do what you want with it. Yes, people have removed bulkheads behind seats in the past. It doesn't have any lasting, from the research I've done and from the conversions I've seen in the past, it doesn't have any difference of structural integrity within the van. However, it is recommended that between the B pillar and the seat base or the wheel arch, you would actually have a triangular gusset welded in between those 2 points, just to maintain a bit of structural strength. From the factory, I believe there were models of even early splits, barn door buses and bays that had the option to have that seat tub removed so you could have a spinning seat base installed, and that applied to things like early delivery vans, like if you can imagine an early DHL van where the driver would spin the seat round, grab the package out the van, grab the package out the back of the load area, and then get out the sliding door or out the loading door, and then he can just reverse that movement, jump into the swivel seat and drive off. I don't believe it would be a more hassle than it's worth kind of job. If it suits your needs and that's what you want to do, then yes, it may well be worth the hassle. However, purists might not like the fact that you've removed that metalwork from the van. But at the end of the day, it's your van, as I said, and it's completely up to you what you do with it. Next question from Al Murray. He says, "Hi Leigh and the team, you'll be pleased. No question for me this week." Oh, okay, Al, well, thank you. As I'm working on a mechanical issue after I lost drive at some traffic lights, good news is that we think it's just the gearbox stubs. I hope you're all doing well and keeping sane. Yes, we're all keeping sane because you lot are helping us do that. All the feedback we're getting and all the suggestions we're getting for all of our content is amazing. So all of you, no matter how you watch us, look at us, view us, you're all keeping us sane. Thank you. It's only me and my stupid ideas that makes us insane. And I'm sure the rest of the team would agree with me. Next question then is from Steve Farnham. Hi fellas, I want to fit a fiamma roll-out awning to my T4 high top. Do I fit it to the fiberglass high top or the van itself? Keep up the great work and loving the podcast. Thanks, Steve. That is entirely up to you. If you have noticed, or if you've watched any of our past videos, you would have seen that we did install a fiamma F45S onto the side of a VW T4 long wheelbase. And the type of brackets that had on it were designed to be really low, so you weren't impeding in any of the pop-top space. They may well work with a high top, actually. Failing that, if those brackets don't work to fix onto the metal of your T4 with the fiberglass high top, then yes, I would recommend you attach that awning to the fiberglass itself. However, if you are doing that, well, first of all, the brackets you would use would be probably the factory brackets that are supplied with the awning. Those brackets are designed to attach onto the side of a flat-sided motorhome or a campervan. Yes, I know that the curvature or the angle of the high top as it goes down the side of the van is slightly tilted backwards, but it shouldn't matter too much when installing your awning onto that fiberglass high top. But if you are installing it onto fiberglass, make sure you have some huge spreader plates or some huge spreader washers behind the fiberglass where you're bolting through to evenly distribute the weight of that heavy awning hanging off the side of the fiberglass roof. I hope that helps. Leigh Smurthwaite, he says, hi guys, hot on the heels of the question above from Steve. Okay, thank you. I am thinking of fitting a fiamma F45 S300 to probably my now infamous T5.1 factory high top. Are there any do's or don'ts? I have seen fiberglass fitting kits and just wondered how best to secure the awning. Will I need a separate channel to stop water pouring in when the side door is open during general use? Any guidance greatly appreciated. Apologies about that. That was one of our lights falling over. Let me just sort that out. So yeah, once again, if you are fitting it to a factory high top or a fiberglass high top, do make sure that that weight is distributed evenly throughout. Potentially even make sure you've got sealant where the bolts are going through the bodywork, because you don't want any water seeping in. Will I need a separate channel to stop water pouring in when the side door is open during general use? You can get little fillers that sit between the awning and the actual side of the vehicle itself, because in most cases the awning sits directly on the side of a caravan or motorhome, whereas with a fiberglass or even a metal sided van like a T4 or T5, they do actually sit proud. So as far as I remember, you can get fillers that stop rain getting through that gap between the body and the awning itself. Or if you have a good engineer nearby, maybe they could fabricate something up for you to reduce that gap. I hope that helps. And I believe that's it, actually, for the Patreon. So thank you very much, everybody, for your Patreon questions. Some of them are our regulars, so thank you very much once again. And that's why people become patrons. Generally, day to day, we get a multitude of questions from all our Patreon supporters, and they are the ones we answer. Normally, if you ask me a question via PM, DM, Facebook message, or even a YouTube comment, I rarely answer those, purely because if I did, I'd have no more time left in the day. So Patreon supporters get our undivided attention when they ask us a question. And if you want to know how to become a Patreon supporter, click down below in the link, and there you will find a way to our website. But we've got 1, 2, 3 questions from our Instagram story today. The first is from Lisa and Aid, another Instagram regular. What are the pros and cons of either using 3.6mm or 6mm ply from custom shop designs? Now, what they're talking about there are the prefabricated CNC cut ply kits that you can get on the inside of your T4, T5, T6, or a ton of other vehicles as well that they make one for. So the benefits of using a 3.6mm R is they are lighter and very flexible, so they can go around the contours of the van very nicely. The disadvantage of using a 3.6, they are not very strong, so if you were to bash it, you may dent it or damage it. And you certainly cannot screw anything to it, because anything you screw to it will just fall straight back out. The advantages of using the 6mm ply are they are stronger, and if you wanted to screw some bits and pieces to it, not your entire interior, by the way, you don't bolt an interior just to plywood, they are strong to maybe hang, let's say, a cup holder onto it, or one of those universal net things that you can put on the inside of your ply, and they can hold all sorts of trinkets. Disadvantages then, what did I start with? I started with advantages, didn't I? Because the strength. Disadvantages, it's heavier than the 3.6 and it doesn't bend as well. So kind of the complete opposites there between the 3.6 and 6mm. I don't believe there's much of a price difference. However, if there is any, it will be the 6mm. It would be slightly more expensive because it's a thicker material. Next question from @LewisCosway1. First year owning a VW T5. Wondering which shows do you recommend? South West ways. Van West. That show is run by friends of ours. They are locally based to us, but obviously they run the show down in that area. I've never been to Van West. However, as soon as it's back on, we are sending myself, the team and my family all the way down there, and we will do coverage of that show. So yes, Van West is the one that I can recommend, purely based on people's feedback and obviously because our friends run it. Next question, last question, is from Gavin_Walding. He says, opinions on converting a fridge van, please. And he says he loves the podcast. So Gavin, thank you very much for that. We really enjoy making the podcast, and it's why I'm in here. Straight after this, we're going to be bringing in Dan and the rest of the team, and we're actually doing our first podcast guest tonight. So I look forward to doing that with you. And if you want to know more about it, keep an eye on all our social medias and our YouTube, and you will see what we've got coming up. Opinions on converting a fridge van. I believe that they are a good buy because they might be low mileage and they might be pretty well looked after. In fact, we'll ask our guest about buying a fridge van. The disadvantages is that they were completely changed from original to become a refrigeration van. Oh, hang on. What am I thinking? Gavin, are you going to need to give us a bit more information here, actually? Are you talking about something like a Sprinter van or a Transit van or even a T5 that's been converted into a fridge van? Or are you talking about a box body van? We'd love to know. But I'm sure there are some pros and cons of converting for a fridge van. Thanks again, Gavin. And yeah, send us some more information and we'll get your questions answered. And that's it today. Thank you everybody for giving us some questions to answer. I hope any of those will have helped you. Once again, if you would like to become a Patreon supporter, look at the link below. In the meantime, head over to our website where you will get any and all information about us and the products that we sell also. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time. Bye bye.